Hello everyone, welcome back. In this lecture, we'll cover one of the limitations of accounting principles, which is historical cost versus market value. We know that there are problems with book value. Accountants record asset value at the acquisition cost or at the purchase price, which is always historical. Then, accountants apply an asset depreciation scheme, and finally they subtract accumulated depreciation from the acquisition cost of the asset. But the question is, isn't that the market value? The answer is normally book value of an asset differs from its market value So accounting calculation of asset value is normally the market value. We already know that book value is not particularly meaningful for some balance sheet items like equity. If the information is readily available in the market, we should not use the book value, rather we should use the market value. Now the question is, why is the market value of equity often very different from its book value? Let's look at an example. Here is an example of market to book ratio of Kellogg's. If we look at the result, we can see that market to book ratio of Kellogg's is 8.2. The result says that Kellogg's market value of equity is 8.2 times more than its book value of equity. Now the question is, why Kellogg's market value of equity is much higher than its book value of equity? The reason could be investors are willing to pay a significant premium. It might be because investors believe that Kellogg's will do much better in future. Now the question is, who is wrong? Normally in finance, we believe that market is always right, without some exception. Like during financial crisis, we know that market often behave abnormally. Why do we find market value? For equity, we can get the value from share market. Similarly, for long-term liabilities, bond market; for short-term liabilities, money market; for accounts receivable, foreign exchange market; for accounts payable, commodity market. But the fact is, for some non-current assets like equipment and plant, cannot readily find the market value. So accountants or managers do periodic revaluation of equipment and plant, still their revaluation is not equivalent to the market value. So even some sort of revaluation is done for equipment and plant, these are normally not same with the market value of equipment and plant, and it is not really easy to find out the market value of non-current assets like equipment and plant for some non-current assets. Let's look at the debt to equity ratio. Debt to equity ratio can be computed using either book value or market value of equity. Here is a debt to equity ratio. Ratios examples of FC Incorporation in 2019 based on the book value. So this BV means book value of debt to equity ratio. It is 4.31. But if we use the market value of the equity, debt to equity ratio of ABC Incorporation is only 0.52. So if we use book value of the equity, we'll say that ABC Corporation is in a risky situation. But if we use the market value of the equity, we will not find any risks with the ABC Corporation's operation. So what should the analyst do about it? The thing is, analysts should depend more on market value of the equity rather than book value of equity, because if we use the market value of the equity, you get more accurate information and your decision will be more accurate. What do firms actually do? Firms usually use market value if the information is reliable in the market and if the information is available at low cost, and when they convey information about operating performance. So that rules out plant, equipment, inventory, and so on. Fair value is unlikely to become the primary valuation method for illiquid non-financial assets. That's all about this lecture. In our next lecture, we'll cover the second limitations of accounting principles, which is accrual versus cash account.